NBA because everybody wants the NBA and wants to watch it. But this stuff is wearing thin on a lot of people. You could like it, you could dislike it, but a lot of people don't like it. Anyway, let's go to a man who likes everything. The great John McMullen, ladies and gentlemen. NFL guy, he's excited. He is all over. Training camp action. Watching guys throwing dimes, watching Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Hurts kibitzing down at the practice facility today.
Are they the new best friends?
They are now the new item. John McMullen was there. He has photographic evidence. He's excited to bring it to us exclusively here. As he walks up, and he knew who the Sandman was. He even knew the Sandman was from Broomall, Pennsylvania, the great John McMullen.
Are we talking about the wrestling Sandman? Tom?
Yes, exactly right.
All right.
Not Mr. Sandman from the great song, Mr. Sandman.
Bring me a dream or something?
Bring me a drink.
Yeah, I think, what was his name? Something Fullington, I think, was the Sandman's real name.
The ECW, right?
ECW, yeah.
See, I told you John McMullen would know that, Harry.
Well, of course he'd know
How could
that.
you doubt this man's... He walks up to the Ric Flair.
I didn't doubt him. You just got upset at me because I didn't know who it was. I'm like, I don't know any ECW stuff.
Cheap.
I was out on wrestling by then.
How's
Yeah,
Jay?
and it's been gone for a while, ECW, so you can't really expect people to know that
I
stuff.
know that. I always remember the great words of not AJ Styles, Joey Styles, who was the voice of ECW. When somebody would accidentally cut a guy's head and there'd be blood rolling down his face, and he'd say, "Oh my God!"
Accidentally cut his head?
There it is. Oh, you had that. Joe C had Joey Styles. He was phenomenal. How great was Joey Styles? He helped make ECW the great event.
And how about some rinky-dink place in South Philly, Viking Hall? They turned that into...
That's the ECW arena to you,
exactly.
John. That's now the 2300 arena.
Yeah. That's where the Eagles had their Super Bowl ring parties. That's how big of a deal that is.
You're damn right it is, man. And they're going to be opening it up soon now that Jim Kenny is going to do that while New Jersey remains on lockdown. Mid-South Wrestling or ECW, John? Last thing I will ask you before we get into the NFL.
Oh, to a true wrestling fan, it's Mid-South Wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the old cowboy, Bill Watts.
I agree.
All right, now that we got the wrestling stuff out
You
of
know
there.
JR. You ask Jim Ross about
I know.
Bill Watts.
Listen, JR and I go way back, man. We're both old, crotchety old guys.
Now,
So,
have you ever talked about Bill Watts to Jim Ross? Because he reveres him.
I know he does.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to Jim Ross, I need to spend an hour talking to him. You can't talk to Jim Ross for 5 minutes and then shut it down. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
Exactly. All right, let's get it to the.
Let's get the bad news out of the way first.
Yes,
this Ron Rivera thing.
Now the point is, I want to point out that what Ron Rivera is reporting now, that he found a lump on his neck in early July. You know, self-examining because he had a lump, and I always check for lumps because I had pretty much the same thing that Ron Rivera had under my eyelid and didn't realize that it was cancerous. And I had that removed a couple of years ago. But he found a lump. He went to the doctor. It's called a squamous cell carcinoma, very treatable and curable, and he plans on to continue to coach. And right now he says he feels fine. And as someone who went through this, again, I'm not comparing myself to Ron Rivera. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a coach. But the carcinomas, as opposed to melanoma is the fastest spreading type of sun cancer from a growth on your body or a lump underneath your skin. This is a carcinoma, so the good news is it is treatable, and he plans on coaching, John, and that's the latest that I have and the insight that I could add into this particular type of cancer.
Yeah, and I think everybody's hopeful because Ron is so well-liked around the league as a whole. So, I mean, the only thing that you said everything pretty well there, Tony, with carcinoma, but when you hear lymph node, you get concerned. That would be the only thing I would be worried about. But he says he feels fine, and he's going to continue coaching, and obviously he should. And I think everyone's hopeful, but you do have to make those plans in case, and it looks like Jack Del Rio would take over. And obviously that tells you what the Redskins have done.
Oh, wait a minute, John.
Redskins.
Wait a minute now.
They're not the Redskins.
John?
Yeah, that's right. I'll put $1 in the swear jar. I've been working a lot this weekend. The Washington football team.
Correct.
Although I want to call them the Washington Football Club. But they've improved their coaching staff so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jack was obviously a successful head coach, so it's a heck of a lot better than it was. But obviously they need Ron Rivera.
And you mentioned the only coach on the Washington staff that has head coaching experience is Jack Del Rio, his defensive coordinator with the Jaguars and the Oakland Raiders, of course. And so they don't have any other coaches. They have coaches who've been assistants, but no other head coach. So Jack Del Rio, if Ron Rivera has to take some time off, would obviously be the guy who would step up and be the head coach.
Yeah, and that would make the most sense. And I he's done it. He knows how to do it. And he's done it at a pretty high level. People tend to criticize coaches, but he was pretty successful for a while. So, I think it's a bigger job than most people understand. So when you have somebody who understands how to do it, I think you got to feel a little bit more comfortable.
Well, what kind of a week did Jalen Reagor have? Because I'm reading also some reviews of some of these other young wide receivers that they had a good week at Eagles camp.
Oh, it's the greatest group of wide receivers that ever lived.
Ever.
That's your training camp hype. I got Carson.
Wait a minute. Are you going to tell me that Jalen Reagor and Deontay Burnett are not lighting it up and catching balls that have been perfectly thrown by both Carson Wentz and, of course, Jalen Hurts?
They certainly weren't today. Well, Deontay was sick today, so he didn't even practice. And Jalen was sick today. They were both not practicing.
They had the COVID?
No, they made that very clear. Evidently, people do get sick from things.
No, there's
other
no
than
other
COVID.
illness out there, John.
Wait a second.
Josh Sweat was sick for one day, and he was back today. So there are other illnesses, evidently. Still, I can't prove that. But
now, wait a minute. So the Eagles, John, Boston Scott, Sidney Jones, and Dallas Goedert each missed the third day of practice. First first live padded session of camp today, I believe.
And the defense dominated. Oh, they just... So Jalen wasn't out there today, Jalen Reagor. There's so many Jalens on the Eagles now. You got to make that clear. But Carson Wentz earlier in the week compared him to Julio Jones. I think that was such a strange comparison because Julio's 6'3" and obviously 220, and that might be being kind. He lists himself at 220. He's much bigger than that. It's just such a strange comparison to make, not only because you don't want to put those kind of expectations on a young rookie receiver, but just from a frame standpoint, one guy's 5'11", and one guy's Godzilla. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the kind of hype you have coming out of camps. And it's not just Philadelphia, it's everywhere.
But, of course, the world has stopped in Philadelphia because Miles Sanders has a lower body injury and is now week to week.
Week to week, yeah.
How will this affect that opening game in a month, John?
Against the Washington Football Club.
Exactly right.
Yeah, well done. You don't have to put money in the swear jar. But, Miles is going to be back for week one. That's the whole point. He's out there. He's got his sleeve on his right leg, so he's got a lower body injury. The Eagles are going all hockey in training camp because they don't have to lock down the injury.
No, wait a minute, John. Let me correct you. Let me stop you right there. Hockey is no longer saying it's unfit to play now. They've gotten rid of the lower body and upper body injuries.
Unfit to play. But they created. They still created lower body and upper body, so I think they deserve credit for it. But he's fine. The Eagles are just being cautious. He's going to be there week one, and that's the goal. I think because they're holding everybody out. Everybody who tweaks anything, they're holding out. And I think they've made the decision that, hey, if you can't prepare like you want to prepare anyway, you might as well be as healthy as possible for week one. So the goal for everybody, Javon Hargrave is in that category as well. He's got a strained pec. They're all scheduled to play week one from what the Eagles are saying.
How different is this, for you compared to any other year? Because it just seems like, obviously there's no preseason games, which we really don't care about the games anyway, but it was always sort of something to sort of point to as you get closer and closer to the season.
Well, from a selfish standpoint, I got to be there every day to take my stupid test, so I got to be there on time, so that's annoying. But, it's different with no fans, and it's kind of weird because you have all these protocols, and then everybody's on the field having football practice. They're just close together, and from a common sense standpoint, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but seems to be working. You see the COVID-19 list is just dropping dramatically.
Yeah,
and this daily testing seems to be working for the league.
Yep. So, I had the number earlier, John. 2,560 NFL players in camp as of Thursday night. 5 are on the COVID list. I want to know when Mike Florio or Peter King are going to write and demand that they shut the season down right now.
Well, they will do it because you know what's going to happen. You're going to get to the regular season, and there's more free time.
Right.
And you're going to have people testing positive. And that's why the NFL's putting together these committees. And you hear them talking about a bubble if you get to the playoffs, where you have lesser teams, and then you can do it logistically. So they're thinking about all these plans. And they're even thinking about how you would handle a situation if one team isn't playing 16 games and another team is. How are you going to handle that type of situation? So I do think you can see the drastic change from way back when they thought the calendar was in their favor and they would talk about competitive balance and all that. And now that the season is less than a month away, basically 3 weeks away, now they're just trying to figure out a way to get through the season because they want that TV money. They're not worried about competitive equity.
John McMullen joining us. And John, the one story I saw that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside made a couple of unbelievable one-handed grabs, and the media went wild.
He's a totally different player, Tony.
He is. I mean, he's
he had
the
a
Pac-12
great camp last year. People forget.
He had a great camp, and that's all that matters. It's not how you finish; it's how you start in the national.
It's how you practice, Tony.
Practice, man.
Yeah.
Had a good week of practice.
He's a great practice player.
It wasn't. There weren't a lot of highlights for the offense, so that's why everyone. He did go up and get a contested catch between two players, and that's what he was supposed to be when he was coming out of Stanford. Big 6'2", 225-pound kid. You know, if you're talking about comparisons, he's got more of the body type of a Julio Jones or a bigger receiver like that. And he just didn't do it last year. I mean, he was just bad. And he acknowledged it earlier this week, and there are positive signs. But like I said, he looked great in camp last year, so what does it really mean?
And, nobody roots against these kids, John. I mean, we all want to see them succeed. But this is a tough town, and you go into tough towns, and a rookie goes out there, and he's a high draft pick. And then people, look at the Sixers. Nobody's gotten a bigger pass in this city than the Sixers for the last 5 years. And here they are tonight, and another loss away from maybe having to blow the thing up again with the process. And so the Eagles have some young players. What's going on there? By the way, wait a minute. All right.
That happened with me, too.
Yeah, my mic just went off.
Yeah.
It just went off again, too. I don't hear myself. Wait a minute. Did Pat Kineen just do something? So you hear me, right, John?
I hear you. Yes,
something
I
happened with the headset. Okay, we're still on. I just want to make sure. I'm going off and on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with the Sixers because typically this city, Philadelphia, had a huge reputation of being so difficult on their players and their teams and holding up to a higher standard. That wasn't the case for that team, man. You got a bunch of Stepfords. They used to say Stepford Flyer fans.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They shifted.
The Stepford Sixer fans?
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of hockey podcasts, but there's no city in the world, even in Europe where they have soccer teams coming out the yin-yang. There is no city that has more podcasts dedicated to the 76ers than Philadelphia. Everybody has a podcast for the Sixers. Even Rothstein has one for the Sixers, I think.
Yeah, but he's got a good one.
Rothstein's a huge Sixers fan. He's a huge NBA guy.
Yeah, but I think he's almost out. He's almost out like the Shark Tank guys.
He tapped out. Yeah, as well you should. That team is unlikable. They don't play the right way. There's no chemistry. The coach is terrible.
I hate him. I really do. I've done a complete 180 in the past 2 years.
He's a good guy, but he's not a good coach. Coaches, you have those guys. They're hired to do a certain thing. He was hired to babysit that garbage,
right?
And then you're supposed to move on.
Yes,
right. He was the nurturer.
Type of coach.
I've been saying this for years. Exactly. He was the nurturer, and once you got past that, then you needed to make a move.
He wins a lot of press conferences.
No, I know. I like him as a guy. I don't hate him. I hate the team.
Guy. No, he's not a bad guy.
No, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I hate the team.
Except for that Boston accent, but he's a good guy.
Other than Harry's starting to work. Harry's got he's got a combo Trump, Brett Brown accent thing going there, Harry. And Trump's not even from New England. He's a New York guy.
All right.
Can you give me a little Brett Brown, Harry, about they don't have a guy that goes in there and busts up the clubhouse?
Well, I got to find the quote first.
Now, you heard that the other night, right? Even the media that normally laps up Brett Brown like a snow cone off of Mr. Softy truck at 5:30 in the afternoon, they lap this guy up in his town. Even they are starting to lose their patience with Brett Brown.
I do believe the locker room believes they've got a hell of a lot more to give. I think it got deflating when their shot makers went bananas.
That's pretty good, huh? Harry, you're good. You got a future in this impersonation business.
Yeah, me and Joe Conklin will be touring.
You and Joe Conklin will be doing a two-man show.
Once we can go out and do tours again, I'll be warming up.
At St. Paul VI High School auditorium next Saturday night. Joe Conklin and Harry Mays doing their best impressions of local sports heroes.
Harry's got 3 days left of his Brett Brown.
Right, and then he becomes irrelevant again.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the word when you create that thing.
Wow.
You could have had all the high schools with that. It's all gone.
I'll be the third assistant on Pop's bench.
Maybe he moves up and goes back to St. Mary's in Moraga and finds more Australian kids that can shoot the three ball, like Patty Mills and the gang out there. You know what I mean?
Right as you perfect that thing, and it's all gone. That's the way it always works.
Is the process officially finished?
I mean, everyone who believed in the process has convinced themselves that it would have worked if Stan Hinkie never left.
Exactly,
so it doesn't matter. It's one of those things. It's almost the same thing as the political ideology. You have the two sides, and they never admit they're wrong. And that's where those people will never give that up. They just think if the NBA didn't step in, the Sixers would be multi-time champions and even though Sam Hinkie never made, never proved he was a good personnel guy. Certainly player development was awful under his regime, but they don't see that.
Exactly. And again, I almost feel bad for Joel Embiid sitting in the back, but then you can look at it two ways. You can say I feel bad for the guy sitting there moping because he knows his teammate. At least he didn't go Charles Barkley yet and say my teammates suck. he's one more loss away from saying I got nobody around me. This team sucks.
Well, if Joel Embiid was like Kawhi Leonard and go 40 minutes and 40 minutes and again and again and again, I would feel bad for him. But, I mean, he's huffing and puffing down the end of every single fourth quarter. And it's at some point you got to point at him as well. Obviously, tremendous talent. There's no question about that. But the difference between him and the true superstars let's be honest, it's work ethic. And he doesn't have it. He's just got natural talent.
That's why on this show, despite the natural talent that's abundant here, we still bring it every single day, Harry. There's no mailing it in games, even with the U.S. Postal Service. I look for a mailbox every day, and I still refuse to mail it in.
I'm putting them in the back of my Buick right now, trying to get rid of them.
How are the mailboxes in your neighborhood over in New Jersey? Are they still around? Have they been confiscated?
I think they're still around, although... Yeah, that's one of the most interesting conspiracy theories I've heard recently. Because one of them was Morristown, New Jersey, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Trump's not going to win New Jersey, so he can slow down on confiscating the post office box. It's not going to make much difference for him.
By the way, we have an update, and I need your help, John. I need you to go on your Twitter feed right now at JF McMullen. and get Robin help. Robin's at 4,900 Twitter followers. You know how important Twitter followers are. We need to get her to 5,000. We need her to get to 5,000 followers. That is her.
John,
That's her goal right now.
I actually made a concession. I said that if everybody helps me get to 5,000 plus followers, at least 5,000, I will change my profile pic to a never-before-seen pinup photo of myself.
No nudes. This is not from her OnlyFans account. Those are different. These are.
You gotta pay extra for this.
You can go nude on Twitter, Rob.
Yeah,
yes,
you
I
can.
know.
If you so desire. I'm not telling you.
Thank you, John, for pointing that out. But I know I am. But it is a very racy photograph, and
not racist though. At least
No.
No.
At least it's not.
I'm 97% sure I already follow you. I don't.
No, you follow
No,
me
why?
already, but you can
yes.
share. Tony posted it on Twitter as well. Other people are posting on Twitter and sharing this fact that if I get over 5,000, I will.
You get a little bonus, a little something extra.
You get a little extra.
You get a little extra
right.
juice. You know, you get the extra juice on it. It's like an extra half point, Harry. You know what I mean?
Well,
When you got
yeah,
action.
of course.
You get that action, you get the VIG.
It's a profit boost.
People love
Profit
free
boost.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get a DraftKings profit boost at no additional charge to you.
I'll take a free pinup. Everybody loves free pinup.
Now, would you like the 8x10, the 5x7, or the just a little, the business card one you could put in your wallet and show your wife at night, John?
Yeah, we better keep it the wallet side, so I
gotta
don't
be
have
wallet
to show it to the wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great John McMullen. Let's give him a roaring round.
Absolutely.